Hi, everyone. So I wanted to spend some time going over the GPL-TOX results on one of my kiddos. So when you look at this, sometimes this is useful when we're looking at things that we just don't understand. We're looking for root causes. We're trying to figure out why someone might be toxic, concerns for mitochondrial health, possibly behavior issues, and if we're concerned that something is going on right in their environment. So this would be helpful with regards to the recent train tragedy and the vinyl chloride going in the water. So one thing you do have to realize is that we are exposed to toxic compounds on a daily basis. So when you're looking at this, yes, you want to try to make changes, but you also want to realize that you want to make sure you're detoxing well. And when it comes to children, Epsom salt baths are helpful, dry brushing, you want to make sure they're pooping every day. You want to support good liver health, make sure they're having a lot of fiber, fruits and veggies, antioxidants. And then sometimes with kids, you just need to cover them with a multivitamin and sometimes other supplements such as NAC if there are things going on in their environment. So we'll run through this a little bit. Some of these things I was a little bit surprised in because we really aren't that exposed to that many toxins, but indoor air quality is very important. And that's why we use an air doctor in our house. But when they're at other places, whether it's school or church or friend houses, they're going to be exposed to different things. So industrial toxicants. So when you go through this, very overwhelming. So when we look at marker number 1, 2-HIB, so the parent compounds are what we actually look at. And then this is what we find in our urine because it's a urine or a urine tox profile. So octane ratings. So this isn't that high, but it's getting towards the yellow. So this would be gasoline vapors, exhaust fumes. This is going to be in the environment for sure. Phthalates. So phthalates, you're going to see these in bath and beauty products. So I see a lot of people pushing beauty products or shampoo for the kids and they're so good, they don't have parabens but they have fragrance in them, and perfume or fragrance is going to have phthalates in them. So this is not good for your children. Phthalates have been shown to impede blood coagulation, lower testosterone, and they alter developmental and children sexual development in children. So low level phthalates, and they've done studies in pregnant women, they can actually feminize the male brain of the fetus. And then really high levels can hypermasculine the developing male brain. So this is a no-no. So if you're looking at, if someone's selling a product online and you look at their products, their lotions, their shampoos, and they have fragrance in them, run, don't walk, because we know that this is not good. And companies that put that stuff in their products, not good. So xylene is something that is found, in pesticides is where you're going to see kids mainly having exposure to this. So one thing also perfumes, which once again, any fragrance, perfumes, and then insect repellents, you have to be careful. So next, once again, we're looking at different metabolites. So serine found in car exhaust fumes, but also in packages. You're finding them in styrofoam package. So this is not good because they leach into the food and then you're consuming them. So you want to go back and look at what is the food packaged in, and are you drinking out of styrofoam cups? And especially if you're drinking out of warm beverages in styrofoam cups, that's a big red flag. Benzene, this we know is bad. We've seen benzenes in a lot of dry shampoos, and also we have seen benzene in the news with dry shampoos, and then with also sunscreen. So I can link the sunscreen that my kids use that, you're not going to worry about benzene. And the spray stuff, usually stay away from that. Acrylonitrile, that's in acrylic fibers and resins, rubber. So a big exposure would be smoking tobacco and cigarettes too. So perchlorate, this one, as you can see, his very, very high in it. And this is used in, fireworks, fertilizers, rocket fuel, all of that. So the big thing is bleach. It's in our water. It's how they sanitize our water. So after actually the study I got a while ago, that's when I switched to reverse osmosis, and then also a medical grade water treatment that will not only put hydrogen in the water, but with the pre-filters, remove perchlorate and help with that. It's concerning because it has a chlorine attached to it. It can disrupt the thyroid's ability to produce thyroid hormones. So it's labeled as the EPA is a likely human carcinogen. So, reverse osmosis, also Kangen water filter can help with that. I can give more recommendations on what we use in my house. So it's interesting because I think this was right after 4th of July. So part of me was wondering if it was because of all the fireworks and all the different things we went to. So what do? You try to not consume this, but it's also in our food a lot, and our water supplies is the big thing that we have to worry about. So you help detox them the best you can. Maybe use a binder if they're really around the stuff. NaC would also be helpful. So diphenyl phosphate, we worry about that for flame retardants. Okay, so major endocrine disruptor, concern flame retardants with ADHD. So what do? Don't buy flame retardant pajamas. Get tightly fitting, snug organic cotton ones. We also worry about firefighters with this because they have the flame retardants going on. So big concerns there. HEMA, so the parent is the ethyl oxide and the vinyl chloride and halopropane. So what we worry about this is different agricultural chemicals and detergents, pharmaceuticals and personal care products. So when we look at this, we worry about ethylene oxide, increased risk of breast cancer and leukemia. It's odorless at toxic levels, so you might not know it's there. Also, a high HEMA on the GPL-TOX could also be exposure to vinyl chloride. So vinyl chloride, it's part of polyvinyl chloride, and it's used for different reasons. A lot of the time using plastics. It's the parent compound to make plastics, different glass, paper, or different, replace these containers with glass or paper, they won't have vinyl chloride. So if you're using a lot of plastic containers for heating, warming, and drinking, we know that not only are you getting BPA exposure, you also could have exposure to the vinyl chloride and the polyvinyl chloride. So when we look at this concern, when we had the East Palestine issue going on in that major contamination of that environment, I immediately went to my son's GPL-TOX results, and he is low, as you can see, like the lowest he can be. So I wonder if this will change. I might retest him in the next 6 months and see maybe if there is something going on in the environment, because he does drink water elsewhere other than our home. We try to avoid that if we can. So once again, replace the containers with glass water or stainless steel when you're possible. And then we also want to, if you're in the watershed areas associated with East Palestine, you do want to look at proper water detoxification. And then also NaC or NAC is really helpful. NAC is the precursor to glutathione. So that is really helpful with detoxing vinyl chloride. The next toxin is NAPR. So the parent is 1-bromopropane. So this is used for dry cleaning. Is probably going to be the most way that normal people are exposed to this, unless they're working with like foam glue and stuff. So chronic exposure can lead to cognitive function and impaired central nervous system. So I don't like getting my clothes dry cleaned. I will hand wash them, I will iron them, but my husband knows I'm not a fan of dry cleaning. Why get exposed to these chemicals if you don't have to be? The next one is propylene oxide. So this, again, production of plastics. So stay away from plastics as much as you can. They're just really not good. I cringe when I have to drink out of plastic water bottles. So 12 is acrylamide is the parent. So this is NAE. Acrylamide, it makes things crunchy, right? So this is found in potato chips. Um, it's the chemicals also are made industrial process for plastics and food packaging, okay? But food and smoke are two major sources of exposure. So I really think that when I was looking at my son being high in this, he loves potato chips and fries. So I really have been careful about this and try not to bring home potato chips hardly at all. It's so hard with kids sometimes. So really try to remove those at home. The other thing I worry about when I look at acrylamide is there are so many people that are obsessed with air fryers. And I kind of cringe, not only because the baskets are usually some non-stick, so then you're getting more chemicals, is that when we heat to this high level and we get these advanced glycation end products, we have to worry about acrylamide. And, also the foods rich in asparagine can also, be potential sources. And this can lead to an elevated risk of cancer. So we do have to take this seriously. So this would be another thing that I would want to repeat in someone that was higher than the 95th percentile, which is when we start really worrying about these toxicant levels. So yeah, so air fryer, yeah, I don't really have one. So 80/20. So if you're going to go out and have some fries, but you don't need to fry everything in your air fryer, in my opinion. And then we look at the parent, 1,3-butamine, and this is a chemical made in the processing of petroleum. Okay, so this is synthetic rubber. So I know my son's level was high because he was on a travel soccer team at this time. So he was doing practices inside the soccer field. So we do worry about this because when you look at all these pro soccer players, pro football players, they actually did a study in Pennsylvania, and there was an increased cancer risk on soccer goalies because they were always down in the ground, and they were getting this high hit of this chemical 1,3-butadiene, which is made from the processing of petroleum. So rubber playgrounds are the new thing. Oh, everyone just wants the rubber playgrounds because they're not getting mulch or mud, but it comes at a price. So what do? I have my kids take some DHIS Junior, which has NAC, NAC in it, and also has antioxidant vitamin C. If we're going out, to these playgrounds, you can like smell it in the air. Okay, so then we move on to organophosphate insect metabolites. Okay, so when you look at these as a whole, organophosphates, they are in pesticide formations. They inhibit cholinesterase enzymes, and this can lead to stimulating of nerve cells. So then you get this activity from that overstimulation of nerve cells, the cholinergic response, like sweating, salivation, diarrhea, aggression, um, and abnormal behavior. And children exposed to organic phosphates, they are at an increased risk of autism spectrum disorder. So, you worry about this with pesticides. You also worry about living near a farm field with this. And then we go to herbicides. So you would expect most people to be low in this, but the 2,4-dichloroacetate acid, it's common herbicide, which is part of Agent Orange. Okay, major endocrine disruptor. Lots of problems with those veterans that were there. And then we go on to 3-HPMA, acrolein. So this is the main urometabolite of acrolein. And this is an environmental pollutant. It's common in herbicide in many different chemical industries. So this is present in burning of cigarettes, gasoline, and oil. So some bacteria like Clostridium can also lead to this. So this I was really kind of confused about. And another reason why, if something is high and you don't really know why, you would want to look around at the environment, the home, schools, and then retest it. So pyrethroid insecticide. So these were proteins, and they are widely used insecticides. Um, Not really used so much anymore. It's harder to find them in actual insecticides on the market because they moved to another chemical which was similar. So this is something though that it's very hormone disrupting, suppresses the immune system. If you're exposed while you're pregnant, increases risk of autism. And then for mitochondrial function, so we want to look at glycine, TG, and it's a marker for mitochondrial disorders resulting from mutations of the DNA. So this means that your mitochondrial, yes, this is a big burden on your mitochondria, all these toxicants. So, you want to have mitochondrial support with different cofactors. Okay, and then this is another list of organophosphate insecticides that are converted to DMT. So this large list, you would want to look if you were using, or a school, or if you live in an apartment complex, if they were using some sort of insecticides, you would want to ask for what are they using. I want to get a handle on what's going on. Okay. And these are organophosphate insecticides that are converted to DEP. So same thing, if this was very high, you would want to look at all these ingredients and see where the exposure is coming from. So, okay, and that is it. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of go over a GLP-TOX and give some information on what we can actually find. So if something is going on where you're worried about environmental exposure, or maybe you've already corrected gut health and you want to dig a little bit further into what's going on with health, mitochondrial health, then it might be a good test to order and go over with your practitioner. Sometimes they come up and they're not that bad, but that's also good because you're ruling out things. Okay, I will say with children, sometimes they're going to be a little bit higher because they're really good at excreting things. They're really good at detoxing, okay, as they're younger. Yes, they're also exposed to more and they take in more too, okay? So that's another thing. Kids are more sensitive to toxicants and environmental toxins. And that's why I get very concerned about all of these disasters happening in the US, because the kids are going to be the ones that I'm very concerned about, and we really need to remove them from bad situations, get them clean water, get them clean air, and then also pregnant women. So I hope this was helpful. I will leave some links for you guys on what to get for your home to help out. And hopefully I will be adding more of these videos on going through results and case studies with you guys. Please share if this was helpful and subscribe to the YouTube channel so I can make more awesome videos for you guys.